Hello, wonderful to speak to you. I am thrilled and confused as always with this show. So I kind of want to talk about quickly the journey. What is really interesting with Jade is that he has taken to this maybe a theory of the puzzling fact of going with the tree. We have the trees and the numbers, and he is obsessed with trying to match and find if there is a clue, if it means a date or something. But what I really wanted to know is his obsession more of solving a mystery, or is it more of going home? Because it seems like it's more a little bit of this, what does the mystery mean, as opposed to if you're given an opportunity to go home and leave this behind, would he take that?
I think that's a great question. Look, Jade comes into this town from a world that is very desirable. Okay, he's got a tech company. He's very successful. He just sold his company. He's got his buddy. They were on their way to party. It was going to be awesome, and now that's all gone. His technology is gone. He doesn't even have a pocket calculator. His buddy's gone. He doesn't have any of his money. He doesn't have his company anymore. It's all taken away from him. Who he is in relation to that. Who he is here is in the absence of that. So to solve the puzzle is not just to get home for Jade, it's to reaffirm and reiterate to himself and everybody around him that he's king shit, right? He's the guy who's smarter than everybody else. And they will call him on that. But at the end of the day, what does it matter if we get to go home, he says, right? So it's you nailed it. I mean, I think he wants to get home because he's got this incredible life waiting for him. But at the same time, because he wasn't able to figure this out sooner and to solve it faster, he lost somebody very important to him. He lost Tian Chen. And he won't admit it, but that hurt him a lot. Tian Chen was to Jade, in a way, like losing his grandmother again. And he's lost. And he starts to spiral worse than he had all through season 2 to a point. And then the minute he gets that, when he hits that point, things start to change for him again, and he starts taking the world a little bit more seriously.
Is his drinking stunting him from becoming the person that he wants to be, who then can solve the mystery?
Yeah, that's very possible. I think the question is also, like, why did he start drinking that much in the first place? When we meet him in the beginning of the series, he's already on something like mushrooms or whatever drugs. He's on something. He's not in his right mind. He's like in this outer, and he keeps reaching for that over and over again, given the opportunity. And is that because of, I don't know, like I can't speak to that in terms of proclivities necessarily, but I suspect, and other people have sort of mentioned this too, so it kind of like starts to sound about right, that maybe being in an altered state helps him to solve problems. Maybe that's one of his strategies to, if everybody's looking at something one way, you're never going to see it differently. The minute you change how you perceive things, then you might be able to see, oh, the pieces actually line up like this, not like this, like, so I think it's a crutch for him. And I wonder if, and I think he starts to suspect that maybe it's not the best strategy.
It kind of feels like his altered state has become too much of the norm. And if he was to reverse and go back to the norm, then he could be able to see the things that he missed by being in that altered state.
Yeah, I think
That
you're
makes sense.
absolutely right.
So then kind of what I also was wondering with this, there's been that weird incident with the swimming pool and Dale, rest in peace, being stuck in the swimming pool. You said not to go. You told him not to go. In a way, does he feel some sort of guilt with that?
I don't know if he feels guilt. I mean, he did everything he could do. At the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
we all have agency and we all have free will. I think that guilt, or a bit of indication that he was right, that this entity, the bottle tree, in other words, the portal, is unpredictable. It's unpredictable. Somebody asked me once if I thought that Jade was upset that Tabitha didn't do more when she was out in the real world And I think no, I think that Jade is probably thrilled that she came back, and that's the best thing she could have done, because it proves that there's an ability to go back and forth. Before, remember, we didn't know if she was alive or dead. The town didn't know if Tabitha was alive or dead. The audience does, because we get to watch her exploring Camden. But the Matthews family, they weren't sure, right? Ethan was like, well, how are we going to bury mom so the animals don't eat her body? Like all these things. So as far as Jade's concerned, the best thing that could have happened was Tabitha came back, because it proves that it's a two-way street. And then it's just a matter of figuring out how the tree decides where to send people. Does the tree have a mind of its own, or is it totally random? You know, and what do the messages in the bottles mean? How do they relate? I think those are the questions that Jade needs to solve next.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to me. And I look
It's my
forward.
pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, no problem.